Welcome to the Tax Sale Podcast, where tax sale investing is made easy. My name is Casey Denman. I'm a tax sale veteran. I am the leading tax sale expert. I'm the author of the Tax Sale Playbook, founder of the Tax Sale Academy, and I am your host right here on the Tax Sale Podcast. This podcast can be found on multiple channels, including YouTube, Spotify video, and of course, anywhere where podcasts can be found. So if you do enjoy learning about tax sale investing, make sure you subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting platform. And of course, this podcast is completely free through and because of the Tax Sale Academy, which you can learn more about by visiting taxsaleacademy.com. All right, on today's episode, I want to discuss what you should expect as a tax sale investor. Now, I'm recording this episode simply because I get a lot of comments, a lot of DMs, a lot of emails from people who have expectations that simply do not meet reality. And this isn't necessarily their fault. They just don't have a full grasp on this business yet and what it entails. So hopefully this episode will shed some light on what you should be expecting as you get into the tax sale business. All right, let's get to it. First off, you must have realistic time expectations. One of the most difficult things about educating people about this business is ensuring that they get excited about investing. I truly believe it is my calling to use my experience, to use my knowledge to train others how to succeed in this business. And it's very important that I get my excitement across to people. But there's a fine line between balancing that excitement, balancing the excitement that a person must have in order to want or to have that desire to get involved with the expectations they also must have. You know, there are plenty of places on the internet that will sell you some sort of insane overnight success story. But I've been very straightforward from day number one when I launched my programs, this podcast, and my YouTube channel. There is no such thing as overnight success, especially in the tax sale business. And it's very crucial you understand this. It takes time, and often quite a bit of it, not just to make your first good-sized return off of a property, but it also takes time to operate your business day in and day out. But this is a sustainable long-term business if you are willing to put in the work. Likewise, it's very important to have realistic monetary expectations. You likely will not make $1 million on your very first deal. In fact, some people have such unrealistic expectations as to what they think they should be making on their very first property that they hold out forever and they never make a single investment. Understand that, again, it's a long-term sustainable business. It's not a business that you get in, you make a few $1 million and you get out. Instead, you get in, you make a good amount of money on every single property, and you can stay in it for the long term. But if you're expecting to make $100,000 on every single property or $100,000 in your first week, your expectations simply do not meet reality. Something else to understand is that tax sale investing is not like regular real estate investing. Most people can probably navigate the process of buying a property on the conventional market. In fact, most people watching this video or listening to this podcast have probably done that at some point in their lives. But many investors will have realtors that represent them as they look for a very specific type of property. Once a realtor identifies that property, they'll handle the entire transaction. They take it to closing, they'll handle all the details, all that kind of stuff for the investor. The investor simply says yes or no. They show up at closing, they provide the funds. That's the way it is in many situations with a lot of real estate investors. Nothing wrong with that, of course, but tax sale investing, it's not like that. You know, I always refer to tax sale investing as a very specific niche inside of the overall niche of real estate investing. There are laws to learn, processes to go through, research to perform, and countless other things that are entirely different than mainstream real estate. Sure, a few of the things do carry over, but the bulk of the process is different. And this is something that shocks a lot of people. You know, I actually have realtor friends that are clueless when it comes to tax sale investing. That's not just my friends, that's actually most realtors that exist out there. There's also the same can be said for a lot of real estate investors. They're completely clueless. They might understand real estate and what they do, but tax sale investing is not exactly similar to a lot of other kind of real estate investing. It's a different business. And you must understand this if you're transitioning into this business, whether it be from another sector of real estate or from an entirely different industry. And you must take the time to learn all you can about this business before you get involved. Just because you've made a few real estate investments, don't think for a second that you can skip any of the learning process. You know, I have Academy members who have seen success in one sector of real estate, but when they get into tax sales, they are utterly shocked at everything else they have to learn to be successful in this business. Obviously, there's ways to learn it, and if you do it properly, you can do it very quickly. But understand, it's different than regular real estate. But once you learn the tax sale side of things, you'll be able to capitalize on it for the rest of your life. Something else that you must expect is that the properties are typically in poor condition. You know, I always find it comical when people complain about the properties being in bad condition. Now, part of this will stem from the fact that they're used to conventional real estate, the stuff they see on TV or the stuff that they see staged on MLS or whatever else they're used to. Odds are, if you're looking at a tax sale property, the property's going to be in poor condition. Now, granted, I have seen some move-in ready homes over the years, but by and large, the properties are going to have all sorts of fun issues that you must deal with or pass on to another person at a discount, of course, upon resale. We must understand these properties are tax defaulted. That means that the owner, well, they're not going to be changing the air filter every 60 days like they're supposed to, or doing a single bit of any other type of maintenance in most situations. I've seen properties before that have had entire exterior walls missing. I've seen properties with large skylights. What I mean by that is the roof has rotted through so much you can look through it and see the sunshine. I've seen homes that were burned down. I've seen homes that have sinkholes in the backyard. To be honest, I've seen just about every single issue that you could imagine. When you compare properties available at tax sales to properties available in the general market, you're simply going to have a much higher concentration of properties that have issues. But once you understand this and once you budget for it from the get-go, this is a non-issue. Either fix it or resell it at a discount and let somebody else deal with those issues depending on what your objectives are. Another expectation that you must have is that this is a research-intensive business. Again, this is not one of those businesses where you can just browse through a description and make a decision based off of somebody else's sales copy. Instead, you're researching every single property, and whether you make money or not comes down to how accurate your research is. And the odds are that for every 20 properties you might research, you might only actually be interested in purchasing one of those properties. That's why inside the Tax Sale Academy, we go into depth when it comes to research and how to do it accurately and efficiently. You know, I can always tell when somebody is a new investor because they tend to complain about all the research they have to do. Yes, absolutely, 100% I agree. If you don't want to spend your time researching properties, tax sale investing is probably not going to be the business for you. But there are plenty of ways to do it accurately and efficiently. You know, I can cross off a property from my list, one that I do not want to invest in, within 10 or 20 seconds of looking at it in most situations. If it's a property I do want to invest in, property I do want to bid on, well, I'll spend a few minutes researching that property in depth. And of course, if it's a complicated property, it might take some more time. But if you learn how to research accurately and efficiently, your business is going to operate much more smoothly. Something else you should expect, get this one, competition. That's right. There are people that exist in this world wanting to do the same exact thing as you and me. They want to make money with tax sales. And guess what? A lot of those folks are watching this video or listening to this podcast right now. And some of those people will do the same thing that we want to do, but they'll do it for less money. One of the most frustrating complaints that I hear is that competition exists. Like, really? You should never be shocked by this. I've got episodes on finding areas with lower competition. I've got episodes on strategies that you can use to deal with it. And there's been plenty of auctions I've been to where there's only been a handful of people. Competition is one of those things that every single person in business, in any sort of business, is going to deal with at one time or another, if not every single day. And if I'm being completely honest here, you should not be complaining about this. You should instead be spending your time finding ways to handle that competition, to be able to operate your business profitably. Perhaps it's finding another area, determining another strategy, adjusting your expected margins. There's countless other ways around it, but whining about competition is not one of them. Expect competition. And when the time comes, when you have that competition, find ways to deal with it. Another one is to expect uncontrollables. There's a lot of stuff that we cannot control in this business. We can't control the tax sale laws. We can't control when the auctions are held. We can't control which properties are auctioned off. We can't control how much those properties sell for. We can't control so many variables in this industry. But instead of being frustrated by the things that we cannot control, focus on what you can control. You can control which auctions you plan to attend, the quality of your research. You can control which properties you decide to buy, how much you will pay for those properties, your expected strategy for those properties. You actually can control quite a bit in this business. And if you control what you are able to control and you do it correctly, the silver lining is you can still be incredibly successful. And here's the last thing we're going to discuss today that I want you to expect in this business. You are the it factor. That's right. You're the only person that makes decisions for your business. You have the ability to make your tax sale business successful or unsuccessful. In fact, you don't just have the ability. You are the sole reason that your tax sale business sees success or does not. You cannot blame it on the industry. You cannot blame it on the competition. You cannot blame it on the properties, on the process, on the market. You can only blame it on yourself because there have been many, many, many people who have seen success in the tax sale business. A while back, I read something somewhere about taking responsibility for every single thing that happens in your life. It went as far as saying that if somebody runs into the back of your vehicle as you're driving, you should take responsibility for that because, you could have left 2 minutes earlier or 2 minutes later and you would have not been in that situation. Now, that might be a little bit extreme, but I do agree with the theory of taking responsibility for everything. I've seen plenty of investors get into this business and fail miserably simply because they blamed every single issue on something or somebody else. I've also seen plenty of brand new investors get into this business with the approach that whatever happens to their business is solely because of them. And a lot of them have succeeded far beyond what they imagined. They'd spend hours and hours at learning the processes, studying the laws, researching properties, practicing, strategizing, learning some more, following systems while making modifications as necessary, buying properties, making some money, improving on that entire process, and just doing everything over and over again. When you take personal responsibility, you are invested in your own success. If you take the avenue that you're going to sit here and blame other people, blame the processes, blame properties, blame your competition, whatever it is, odds are you're not going to be successful. At the end of the day, your expectation should not be whether the competition and the system or whatever else you want to place your trust into allows you to succeed. Your expectation should be that you are the it factor, that you and you alone will determine how much effort you put into this business, and ultimately that effort will determine how much you succeed. When you enter any business, there's definitely going to be situations that will pop up that you were not expecting, and you must figure out how to deal with. being able to successfully navigate those challenges is what separates the ones who are successful from the ones who are not. So hopefully some of these what to expect type situations that we've discussed today will help provide a leg up as you get into the tax sale business. Listen, I truly hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Tax Sale Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode or any of our episodes here on the podcast, please do us a huge favor and leave a positive review on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to us on today. It really makes a huge difference as we create these podcasts. And as always, if we can be of any additional help, be sure to check out taxsaleacademy.com. Hey, take care and make it a successful day. We'll see you next time right here on the Tax Sale Podcast.